welcome to Xbox On. I'm Leah and I'll be your guide today to what you might have missed so far in the Destiny franchise. For the uninitiated, let me welcome you warmly to the world of Destiny. And what on earth have you missed, you ask? Well, not just on Earth, I'd answer. You've missed a lot on Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and the Moon, to name just a few areas that have been repeatedly looted and shooted over the past few years in Destiny's lifespan. Destiny manages to really toe that magical Marmite line of love and hate in the gaming community, inspiring some extreme reactions on both ends of the spectrum. And with my 2,000 hours of in-game time, rookie numbers compared to some, and the frankly horrifying amount of merchandise I've acquired over the years, you can probably guess which side I stand on. And the one thing that keeps me consistently coming back through the ebbs and the flows of Destiny's lifespan is just the incredible sense of wonder and adventure I felt from my first foray in the beta right up until the recent release of the new DLC Forsaken. Everything from the stunning visuals, and now even more stunning as it's enhanced for the Xbox One X in 4K HDR, the incredible soundtrack and the deep lore keeps me wanting to see and discover more inside this universe. Something I personally don't experience often.
But I do have a bullet with your name on it.
But enough of the governs, let me tell you about the game itself. At its core, Destiny is a shooty-looty space adventure where you play as a Guardian, a defender of Earth and its admittedly few remaining inhabitants. Look, a lot of stuff happened. You're dispatched to solve problems and kill foes around the solar system and beyond, because the Vanguard told you to, but also because you kinda like Earth and everything attached to it and you need it to stick around, I guess. You're also pretty special. You died once a long time ago, and you were chosen to come back to life by your floating companion, Ghost, a drone created by the mysterious Traveler, who helps guide you and acts as your mouthpiece along the way. You're also infused like a quality tea with the elusive and intangible light, which you wield to your advantage as a weapon, giving you snazzy abilities and, essentially, immortality, as your ghost can revive you whenever you're unlucky enough to be on the wrong end of a 1,000-yard stare. And look, I can't let go, okay?
Any last words?
How's your sister?
Unfortunately, if your ghost dies, then you're a bit screwed, as you might find out as you play through the hefty Destiny 2 story content, but I don't want to spoil that too much. Everything you murder in your evil crusade against the galaxy, your fight against the darkness, drops you something for your troubles, and you can customize the way your Guardian looks and plays by equipping your preferences in armor, guns, and abilities. You can play as a Titan, Hunter, or Warlock class, with all three offering their own unique twist to the gameplay, and each having a distinct visual look. And if you're really feeling dedicated, you can make all three classes and hate yourself when the weekly activity reset comes along and you realize you only have 2 hours to spare to finish content and all three characters. At the moment, I'm preferring playing a Hunter, and Hunters feel more mobile due to their specific jump they have, and the new super ability introduced in the recent DLC is overpowered to a silly degree, making it a must-have during team encounters. But all three classes are extremely playable, and that's one of the charms of Destiny. There isn't a best class. It's all completely down to personal preference and what you feel most comfortable with. I started as a Warlock for 2 years, and then I dabbled in the Fist for Brains Titan class for a while, and eventually ended up with the more swag than sense Hunter. Each has their place within the team gameplay, and their abilities are varying and give them all a very distinct identity.
I cannot wait to see how this ends.
There are a few big bad guys to worry about, and they seem to crop up as frequently as Daleks in Doctor Who. So if you're a fan of consistency, then hooray! Each set of foes has their own ecosystem and a rich lore background, and there are some deep lore-filled rabbit holes to dive into with regards to these guys, with much yet unexplained. But they all seem to have a common problem, which unfortunately is you. Now there are the Hive with their ancient mystical background and their obsession with ascendancy, and lore fans can look into the Book of Sorrows for a real ride. There's the Fallen with their factions and the desire to wrest the power of the light from your painfully overworked hands. And the Vex, machine life forms who just want total control over all of time and space. So, nothing too intense. These are the main guys whose faces you'll be shooting, and sometimes they pop up in different flavors, with the Taken, Siva, and more recently, the Scorn, who have all had their motivations and plots to ruin your day. You casually kill gods Or, in my case, you run away screaming as they tower over you when you encounter them in the raid for the first time. Looking at you, Oryx, you monstrously epic pile of power. And you halt centuries-old plots that threaten to tear apart the fabric of reality. Thanks, Atheon. And curtail those who get just a little bit too big for their boots.
We have murdered his son. And now the Taken King comes for us all.
The game is comprised of various elements. There's a story to run through that gets increasingly better with each big expansion. There are strikes you can repeatedly grind that are big, boss-based story missions that will often, or not often if you're unlucky, drop specific loot rewards. Drop into open-world areas on each planet to explore public events and bounties for more loot. PvP is there for those of us who really enjoy frustration with no particular end goal. And there are raids for a full cooperative team experience. And you guessed it, more loot. With the sequel released this time last year, there was a huge focus towards change, with Bungie making efforts to make the game more watchable, fun, and rewarding. Unfortunately, this didn't really pan out in the way they anticipated, leading to a big rethink on the devs' behalf. And so, that brings us to Forsaken, the latest installment in the Destiny franchise that landed in early September, offering more story content, more reasons to play, a whole new raid, new PvP content, and lots more loot. But most importantly, this came with a whole host of gameplay changes to help bring the game back to its satisfying roots, including the re-addition of random rolls in loot drops, which makes the content feel meaningful to grind again, and making each flavoured weapon feel really unique to you. Well, until it becomes a popular archetype and 90% of the player base play for 14 hours straight until they acquire a copy of their own, that is. Forsaken released in early September and has been well received so far, and is quite easy to see why. It encompasses the things people loved about Destiny 1 while putting a sequel spin on them, bringing an engaging and interesting story into the mix alongside a new game mode, Gambit, which is a surprisingly fun hybrid between PvP and PvE. The content just keeps on giving, with plenty to grind for and collect. There are new ways to see lore in-game and ways to track what items you're missing from collections, something I personally really love. We've looped back around to meeting and dealing with characters we first encountered in Destiny 1, including greasy Prince Alderaan and his never-ending ability to be the awoken embodiment of that bed corner you stub your toe on every morning. This time though, it's even more personal, as he turns his attention to one of the franchise's most beloved characters, the Hunter Vanguard, Cade 6. You can explore the story and then take it further with adventures, which are markers in that open world that start independent quests which usually work alongside the main story, to supplement and give hints to future content like strikes, raids, and further expansions. And for the more dedicated among us, there's a brand new raid on offer, and I won't give any story elements away, but it did take the first team around 20 hours to clear it. A 6-man, mechanic-heavy festival of death. Raids are usually the highlight of the expansions for me, dropping specific loot with unique perks and offering a new and innovative challenge each time. Requires you to have a full team cooperation to complete. This raid definitely won't disappoint you, but it does need you to have a team together already, or risk the perils of LFG sites to help build a group of strangers together. You'll need to be prepared with the right gear and be a high enough level to even start the encounter, and you must have perseverance and time to finish it. No one wants to be that guy who leaves halfway through because it's his nan's dog's birthday and he needs to go help cut the cake. But if you can find the time and the team, raiding can be one of the most memorable and rewarding parts of Destiny. And from the looks of it, this new raid is set to follow that trend.
The fate of the Dreaming City is at stake.
There are new weapons that make replayability much higher. Weapons now drop with random rolls, so you never know quite what you'll be getting. And the chase for that dream roll is thrilling in its own way. Always searching for the right configuration of perks on the weapon that will give you that edge either in PvP or while raiding. There are lots of vendors with their own unique currencies, bounties, and loot drops, and many sets of armor that you can customize with shaders to your liking. New challenges and goals are made much more accessible for the completionists among us. All in all, a whole lot to learn, discover, explore, and play through within a beautiful looking and sounding universe.
Now let's go to prison!
Well, that's been a crash course in Destiny in the vaguest terms, and there's so much I could go into detail with this, but if anything you saw here tickled your fancy, you can get the Destiny 2 Complete Collection, which includes 2 mini DLCs released earlier this year, and the big DLC Forsaken in the Microsoft Store, enhanced for your Xbox One X playing pleasure and in a spicy 4K resolution. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye!